Strategy games are usually hit or miss with me, and I think for a lot of people actually. They're big, they're expansive, and they tend to have a lot of detail, but they're also focused on a specific model, and so if it's a lot of detail on something you don't care about, you're not going to jive with the experience. I really like the big medieval styled strategy games where you're ruling kingdoms and dictating the future of the world, and you've got your actual population that you can modify or watch over, and they can live and die independently or as a collective, and then you maybe control a hero character that can be continued on through the game and be your representative or just a character you really like. But the problem I've found is that a lot of the time these games either focus on the grand scale, so zoomed out you're looking at empires and civilizations over time, or the minor scale where you're on the battlefield with a small retinue of soldiers and you're traveling the realm, whatever. But the hybrid of the two tends not to exist, which obviously, as I've just listed out, is for very understandable reasons. These games are hard to make, and if you spread yourself too far, it's going to be as shallow as a puddle. But then I came across a game called Age of Wonders 4, which does a really good job at giving you a bit of everything. Of course, it has to make some compromises, but I feel like it got a good balance. Age of Empires 4 is a strategy game, and it does have a world map, and you do have a civilization, and it does span over time, but it's not over years. Maybe it is, it's not defined. It's game time, it's not actual real life. Years are passing, you have no idea. But you can control your cities, spread them out, colonize more in a civilization game style. And yet, when you enter combat, you have units that can be trained from different trees, they can have cultural impacts, they can be different classes, they have different rock, paper, scissors style effects to certain units, they have status effects, and the combat is a turn-based battle system where you control each piece like it's on a chessboard, moving them about, telling them to attack or use a special ability, and then ending your turn. This is a really nice addition to the genre, I feel, where you're not having to watch the toy soldiers on the world map do a very binary fight where most of it's done behind the scene in calculations, and yet you don't have to sacrifice the big city civilization control in return for a little bit more involved combat. But it goes a step beyond, because since it's a fantasy medieval strategy game, you've got orcs, humans, elves, you can create your own empire, and you can customize these people to an insane degree. You could start with a human, but then the human could start growing beast fur, and they've got green eyes and slit pupils, and they like melee attacking, and they like working with awakened pigs and really smart walking trees. And then you could give them leaf skin on top of that, and whilst they started as human, now they're something completely different. And all the other civilizations are doing the same thing, and because of migration, you can still mix and match different cultures within your single realm. Your cities can each develop and conquer different territories differently, and you can even get into disputes if you go over places other people wanted. You can customize your gear, because you get hero characters to represent you, or just characters you want, where they've got buff stats and an inventory system of which you can deck them out with cool gear as both rewards for quests and exploration, or by spending resources into crafting. There's so much in this game, and if you're a fan of anything fantasy or anything strategy, I would have to recommend it. Honestly, I don't even have any of the DLC at the moment. I'm just playing the base release, and the game I think came out just over a year ago from the Paradox development studio. Many of you, if you do care about strategy games, will be familiar with that name, and you'll have mixed opinions on their practices. Again, I only just found the game, but considering it's only just over a year old, I really like the base game. I've only done one finished campaign at the moment, but I created a bunch of elves, and I took them down the plant-based route I described with those humans, and I was surprised with how unique and individualized my realm felt by the end of it all. There's a spell tome system which is like your tech tree, you're researching. And it's also super cool because the way it works is there are multiple branches of magic, and each branch has 2 different sects, I guess. And you can spec into one or both of them, or you can mix and match. And by doing this, you unlock different technologies for your civilization and your main species. And you use your magic to summon enemies, or to change your appearance, or to make new items, or just to get new tech. It's hard to describe properly if you've not played the game, because I haven't really seen any other game do it quite like this. It's a great blend of leveling up a civilization's tech tree whilst also flavored with magic, and augmenting the actual genetics of your people, the summons available, the weapons available, all of that cool stuff. Even at the end of the game, you realize not all is over, because you can save your culture, or your main hero anyway, into a pantheon where they will then come up in future games, or you could choose to replay a new game using them. And each time you do it, it's like a prestige system where you gradually get nice little unlocks like costumes or weapons for future playthroughs. Nothing super important, it's just a nice little bonus on top of the main game. And you can set the game to be as short or as long as you want based on its difficulty and map size, so it's quite customizable in that way. There's a variety of units, and again, I haven't even played beyond one full campaign yet, but I was still impressed with the variety of units available, and I'm sure the DLC adds a whole lot more as well. There's so many ways you could replay it. Of course, these games aren't for everyone. If you want that high adrenaline in your face action game, then this is never going to be for you. But if you're okay with taking it a little bit slow, and you like planning things out and being rewarded for having some long-term goals, yeah, full-heartedly, I recommend this game. It's surprisingly hard to hear of. I hadn't heard about it for so long, despite the fact I follow Paradox semi-frequently. But I'm glad I did come across it. It's a cool game, and I hope it gets even better as time goes on. I will probably be picking up the DLC to expand my options with it.